Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This one, this is sort of a bit of a callback to a previous replay. I showed you some, it was some winners in a replay competition for the Down Under Cup, and that was one that was just all women. Well, this is Rightest, who was in that replay. He actually had another all-women replay, and he's against the Dwarfs, which is kind of obscene, because none of these women have armor piercing. I mean, there's some anti-infantry, and obviously weapon strength is good, but it's not an armor piercing army, which is kind of insane to face off against the Dwarfs with. But yeah, he tries to make it work. So fair play to him. He has some harpies here as well. Harpies, and there's just a load of witch elves and sisters of slaughter, including the regiments around witch elves, the sisters of seeing doom, that they do cause terror, which is kind of cool. That is kind of cool. Helps a bit, but dwarves tend to have pretty damn good leadership, so it's going to take a while to terrify them, really. But still, it's going to help. Also, here you can see Morathi. So Morathi is pretty damn useful here. So, of course, she is anti-large, and I guess she does have armor piercing, but, you know, anti-large isn't going to help, which is sad, but she does have Soul Blight, so she can lower the armor of combatants by 30, which is actually really useful. That is going to help her entire army actually hurt something, which is pretty cool. Also, Doom and Darkness to help break some leadership, and of course she does have all the usual buffs and debuffs, so she will be able to lower melee attack and defense by a huge amount using these two abilities, which is pretty good. You know, the melee defense will still be pretty damn high for a lot of the dwarf units, but the melee attack will be almost nothing. So once all these ladies can get into combat, if Morathi's nearby, they're going to have a really sort of easy time sticking it out. So that's going to be really, really cool. So I like this. I like this a lot. Oh, also, one other thing, which is very handy, is she does have Spiteful Conjuration, so every time she casts a spell, that's another minus 15 armor. So really, every time she casts Soul Blight, that's actually minus 45 armor, which suddenly is quite a bit. So that is really, really handy, and I mean, no other Dark Wizard has that. None of them have that ability because they don't have the Law of Dark, so they don't get Spiteful Conjuration. So that's actually really great. That's something unique to Morathi, that she can really just tank that armor hugely, and that is going to help a lot. So the dwarf player here. So big variety here. I mean, this is very good for dealing with dark elves generally. Load of, you know, mix of armor piercing, so things like rangers that can do perpetual fire, that regenerate as well, which is nice. Plenty of long beards to help keep the front line safe. Also, more rangers. Here you got Ulthar's Raiders, so with all the massive missile damage potential here, Mark of Ulthar is going to maximize that against bigger targets, things like Malekith and stuff like that. Plenty of Slayers as well, which will really help try and bog down any cold ones or anything like that. And but yeah, it's mostly ranged here, which is quite surprising. So more Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors dotted around. So very sturdy infantry and a lot of very, very just huge DPS units in the middle, to be honest. All of these Thunderers and Rangers and the cannon, it's pretty scary. Also, a Rune Lord to help slow things down. Pretty vital in this matchup when, you know, there's a lot of maneuverable things like Cold One chariots and stuff that can sneak in. So if you can slow them down, it means the Thunderers can get some good volleys into them, or the cannon, or even just the Rangers. So it's pretty handy. So, speeding things up. This is kind of an insane fight. It's kind of insane. You don't expect this army at all. By all accounts, it makes no sense, but yeah, with Morathi, as long as she survives, she's going to be a lot of help with that Soul Blight and Spiteful Conjuration. So here she's getting shot at, but all the units are pushing up. As you can see, Rightest is having to bob and weave here with Morathi, try and stop her from getting shot down by those cannons because that damage is mounting, and she can't heal. She cannot heal. She doesn't have Soul Stealer, so there's no healing for her. And that's going to be very, very painful if she gets sniped out. So here you can see the Rangers are starting to shoot at the Sisters Seeing Doom. Brilliant target. They're just going to get slaughtered by that. Look at that, the amount of damage they're taking from a couple of volleys. It is very, very painful. And with Bugman's Rangers behind, there's plenty that can shoot into them. In fact, all of this stuff is very weak to any of the missile fire. So it's not looking good initially. That's a huge amount of damage. But you can see a load of units are pushing in, which is good. Also, Harpies starting to push in, pick some targets too, so that's pretty nice. And straight away, these Rangers rampage, and they're just getting slaughtered. For them to get caught out like that is a huge mistake, but I guess he figured, you know, let the Rangers get sacrificed, and the blasting charges can do a ton of damage. And they do a ton of damage, actually. That's pretty damn good. Not bad at all. So Morathi's charging in. Miners is going to be no hope. They have 0 melee attack now. So, yeah, good luck, Miners. Here, though, Ulthar's Rangers are going to be a problem, so get get some harpies on top of them. Over here, Thunderers are a problem, get some harpies on them. Over here, Bugman's Rangers, get some harpies on them. Still plenty of ranged units in the back though. So you can see Witch Elves are pushing forward. Sisters of Slaughter are getting on top of these miners. We've got to polish them off very quickly. Over here, these Sisters of Slaughter did get the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, which will hurt them quite a bit. It's definitely worthwhile, because they are very hard to kill. They have very high melee defense, the Sisters of Slaughter, so it's going to be tough for Dwarfs to kill them, which, I mean, look at that, 30 melee attack against 59 melee defense. It's going to be very difficult. It's basically double. So the back line now in a bit of turmoil, but you can see a lot of the harpies are being finished off. These Witch Elves are super injured, and there's still plenty of ranged units left. But these Rangers got caught out, and we already saw Rangers do not hold up against Witch Elves. They just don't. So they're getting cut to ribbons, and they have Rampage, so they're going to stop running away, and they're just going to keep getting cut to ribbons. Not good. Over here, though, these Witch Elves have been scared off. These ones are keeping this stuff busy, including rampaging the Thunderers, so they can't shoot right now. Over here, you can see the Longbeards are doing very well against these Witch Elves, so they're going to need to pull out. Now, Murderous Prowess has progged, so they will be able to kill things a little quicker, which will help. So Morathi's in here trying to help, and there's that Soul Blight. 55 armor on Longbeards. That is really low. So suddenly, these Witch Elves should be able to actually do quite a bit of damage. Bugman's Rangers, they're able to pull out slightly. Dragonback Slayers in here, they don't really want to be fighting Sister Slaughter. Sister Slaughter are great for killing unarmored things like the Dragonback Slayers, and the Dragonback Slayers aren't going to have that anti-large bonus to help them, so they will get cut up pretty well. Over here you can see the Witch Elves cutting through the cannon crews now, so Morathi doesn't have to worry about getting shot at by cannons, but the Thunderers are shooting into her, which is not ideal. So she's taking a huge amount of damage right now, and that's not good. More Slayers running in to try and bail out the Thunderers from these Harpies. More Harpies are starting to return though, a couple more units coming in, which is definitely worthwhile. Here, these Longbeards are basically abandoned. That Soul Blight's run out, so they're too armoured, no point fighting them, they can't catch up to you, so run away! Get on something that is doing more damage, because the Longbeards aren't really doing the damage here. It's the ranged units that are doing damage to things being pinned by the Longbeards, so just run away from them. But this is very clever, very crafty indeed. Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin stopping the Sister Slaughter from getting into this back line quite as quickly, but they do manage to pull through, and the Harpies did charge in to get onto these Thunderers, so suddenly the ranged units are all pinned down right now by Harpies, because a lot of them have been chewed up by Witch Elves. Another Soul Blight, meaning that all this stuff is going to die a lot quicker. Well, I say that, the Dragonback Slayers aren't really going to be affected by that, but it will cut their weapon strength down a bit, which is really nice. So here, big blob of, what's this? Longbeards? Yep, very healthy Longbeards. Just keep away from them. Just run away. That's the thing, all the women are so much quicker, they can just run off. Let the Longbeards chase all day, kill everything that can actually do some DPS. You know, things like these Thunderers. Get rid of them. And, I mean, this has been a beautiful tactic. Just get the Harpies to bog down some units, and while they're not able to shoot or run away because the Harpies are bogging them down, it gives time for things like the Witch Elves or the Sister Slaughter to get on top of those ranged units. Anything in the front line you can kind of ignore and just run away from in order to get onto those valuable, high DPS targets, and then rinse and repeat. You know, every time the Harpies manage to come back, get them on a different ranged unit to bog them down, so that way the Witch Elves and Sister Slaughter get some respite, and then can run in and wipe out that unit that's been pinned by the Harpies. And that's just been what's been done over the entire army here. All the ranged units are being wiped out. The only one left is this unit of Thunderers. All the other ranged units are dead. And that's pretty damn impressive. That is pretty damn impressive. Also over here you can see the Longbeards are all starting to struggle now. With Morathi in here, their stats are terrible. I mean, 12 melee attack. They're not gonna kill a thing. They're not going to kill a thing with Morathi in there, but she is super injured, only 400 health left, so she can't really afford to stay in the combat, sadly, which means their stats will go up a bit. She will still have one of her debuffs, but she gets the other one by being in combat. So over here, another Soul Blight, just making these guys just completely ineffectual. Over here, Slayers are being chased by the Sister Slaughter. They were trying to get out to lend some support, but they're just getting chased down. The poison will slow them down, which means that that speed advantage that I was telling you about, it's exaggerated thanks to all the poison for the Sister Slaughter, and they're the ones that really can stand in there and fight for longer. You know, they're the better combatants over the Witch Elves, so the fact that they can poison things, it means things can't escape them, which is kind of scary, and the Witch Elves can outrun anything that might be a threat to them. So it's kind of insane. This shouldn't work, because it's an entirely non-AP army, except I guess Morathi, against an entirely armoured army. But it's working. Somehow. I mean, I guess because of all the things I mentioned, but it still seems unlikely, no? I mean, how do you defeat Dwarfs? Ask anyone. I'll just bring an entirely AP army. You'll be fine. This was the opposite. and that's kind of impressive. Kind of insane. Just going with a theme, but somehow it synergizes really well. You know, all the poison for slowing things down, all the units that can just massively outrun any of the dwarfs. And because there's a lot of them, they can sneak into that back line. The most threatening things to them are the rangers, and, you know, similar ranged units. So just sneak through all the gaps and get on top of them. Use the harpies to bog them down so they're not shooting at the witch elves. Then the witch elves can just escape whatever they're fighting, get on top of the rangers and kill them in seconds. So they can kill all their, like, sort of most threatening adversaries, but it somehow it still doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it makes total sense, but also it shouldn't make sense. It's insane. It's insane. I'm really glad that Rightest sent me this one. It's just ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous by all accounts. This this shouldn't work, but it just does. And a lot of that is due to Morathi just being an absolute champ. That's how the other one was won. Just Morathi was just so good. And she's so good here, just the amount of debuffs she has. The dwarves just don't have the combat stats to hold up against those debuffs. They turn into just... They may as well just be peasant mobs at that point. They're just pathetic after that, after all those debuffs. And with Soul Blight just lowering the armor of anything by 45. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And it just works. It just works wonders. I mean, 166 kills with Witch Elves against Dwarfs. Unheard of. So, absolutely love this. This is beautiful. And guys, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. So guys, if you did, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.